Okay, today is Tuesday, March 17th. Before we begin, happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. This is the Cape Cod Gateway Airport Commission monthly meeting, which we are holding in the airport conference room. We are beginning our meeting at 4 p.m. as scheduled, and so everybody knows it will be replayed on Xfinity Channel 8 or High Definition Channel 1072. You can also access it via the Government Access Channel, live video on demand archives on the Town of Barnstable website. Having called the meeting to order, I must announce that the commission meeting is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel. And in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 20, I must inquire whether anyone else is recording this meeting, and if so, to please make their presence known. And not seeing anyone recording it, we will move on to our roll call. Mary.
Sure. Chairman Flores.
Here.
Vice Chairman Gio.
Here.
Clerk Wild.
Here.
Commissioner Milo.
Here.
And the Yarmouth representative, Liz Sarko.
Here.
Great.
And Commissioner Beerworth and Commissioner Bailey and Commissioner DeGeorge is not in attendance.
Okay, but we do have a majority.
Yes.
So our meeting will move forward, and we will move to item number 3, which is the Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody will please stand. I
Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Okay, let's move to the minutes of the previous meeting, which was January 20th, 2026. We had received those. I assume everybody has had the opportunity to read them on the commission. Norm, would you make a motion to approve those?
A motion to accept the minutes of the January 20th, 2026 commission meeting as written.
And is there a second, please?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion, any comments, any issues, any edits? Not hearing any, I will call the vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes of January 20th, 2026 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, that is the vote. Next item is public comment. I don't see anyone from the public who is wanting to make a comment, so there's no need for a commissioner's response. So we will move right into the report of the subcommittees. The first one is the finance, and that committee is comprised of Commissioners Weil, Bailey, and Gio, and Commissioner Norm Weil is the chair, so if he would be so kind as to give that report.
Thank you. The meeting of the finance subcommittee was called to order on March 10th, 2026 at 8:31 a.m. All 3 commissioners were present. The meeting was conducted via Zoom. We had public representation from John Flores, Suzanne Kennedy, Betty Ludke, who is the airport liaison, and Paul Phelan, who is a citizen. In public comment, Paul Phelan stated that he was recording the meeting. The minutes of the February 3rd, 2026 Finance Subcommittee were presented and approved. I will go through the items that we discussed. Since we're going to be discussing them at this meeting, I won't go into too much detail. We started out with FIN 0326-1 to review and approve the WS Corporation Jet A Fuel Service Agreement. It's a 3-year agreement with several options. We will be discussing this at this meeting. We voted to move it to the meeting. Moving on, we took things out of order, partly because it was potentially a hard stop for Mark, and we wanted to make sure we got the most important things in front of him. He was able to stay for the whole meeting, it turned out, but of the voting things. Well, taken out of order was FIN 0326-7, a discussion of the MVP strategic plan. It was brought and put on the agenda for the purposes of getting comment from the commissioners present with the idea of moving it forward to this meeting. The idea being that there's a lot to be handled in the strategic plan, and wanted to present the idea of having the commission direct management to focus on about like 3 items so that we felt were the most important, and we talked about the ones that we thought were under the preview of the finance subcommittee. The consensus was really that Manager Nelson should set daily priorities. The commission will provide oversight and vision, and in addition, they may request emphasis on an item they feel may be overlooked. Again, it was the idea to get before the commission, to provide clear input to management on what should be focused on in the strategic plan. And we will discuss it, I'm sure, in more detail further in the meeting. Moving on, FIN 0326-2, to review and approve the WFS Corporation Refueler Agreement. We voted to move that to this commission, so that will be discussed for consideration and approval. Approving the FIN 03263 to review and approve the WFS branding agreement. Again, we discussed it. It will be discussed here at this meeting, so I won't go into details other than to say it was approved for consideration and possible approval at this meeting. To review and approve Vector LLC Amendment Number 1 for the plain noise, no cost 6-month trial period. We've had a presentation of the feature that was being discussed in this agreement, and I believe at our last meeting, we discussed this and recommended that it be presented and potentially approved at this meeting. Moving on to FIN 0326-5, review and approve 211 Airport Road non-aviation license agreement. We discussed that. That'll be discussed at this meeting, and for consideration and potential approval. Moving on to FIN 0326 to review and approve the GSX lease agreement. This was an exciting new opportunity for the airport to have a new air type carrier provide service, I believe, from Teterboro in New Jersey to Hyannis, and that was discussed and agreed to have the move to this meeting for consideration and approval. There were discussion of updates that will be discussed at this meeting, so we won't go into those details. And the meeting was adjourned at 9:26.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Weil. And now, moving to the report of the Infrastructure and Marketing Committee, and that committee is comprised of Commissioner Joe DeGeorge, Wendy Bearworth, and Margaret Melo, and I will ask Commissioner Melo to give that report, please.
We met on Tuesday, March 10th, 2026 at 10:30. Commissioners DeGeorge, Bearworth, and Melo were present. Meeting was held via Zoom. There was no unfinished business. New business was INF 0326-01. Review and approve FY26 on-call communications management and community outreach services scope of work as the basis for request for a proposal. The current media company is Pierce Cotes, and their contract expires June 30th, 2026 and has no holdover clause. Analytics in support of digital media traffic was requested to be included in the SOW a few years ago, but wasn't included due to cost. This contract has potential to increase by over 33% with the current agreement, as there was no cost increase over the prior 3-year contract. This agenda item was moved to the full commission for approval. Next was INF 0326-02, review and approve an advertising and marketing proposal. Each proposal was unique in the manner that each company can deliver their products. None of the companies can provide radio, digital, video, and email locally and in the markets CCGA is targeting. The remaining FY26 budget for advertising is approximately $50,000. After discussion about a proposal, it was determined to go with the entity that gives the airport the widest audience, which is iHeartMedia, and a request for proposal within the $50,000 targeting 2 cities for this fiscal year. Manager Nelson will aim to have something to present at the full commission meeting for approval. INF 0326-03, review and discuss car show October 2026. This would be held in conjunction with the Hyannis Chamber of Commerce to promote the airport in the off-season and would not conflict with their annual Father's Day car show. The car show would be in the terminal parking lot with food vendors and possibly airport vehicles the week and after Columbus Day. Staff would create and present a plan at the next subcommittee meeting. Updates were given which will be presented in this meeting. We adjourned at 11:40, having no further business to discuss.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
You want to
Mayor.
go?
Okay, the only 2 comments I'll make on that report is that the fact that it suggested that the increase would be 33%. That's substantial, so I'm sure that will create further discussion down the road. And finally, also, the 2 cities that we're targeting, those 2 cities, Manager Nelson, were for the advertising.
So it was Philadelphia and for further input, Chicago was requested.
Okay. And that's still open for discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think it was from $150 an hour to
Because we were waiting for more, probably upwards of the 200 or more dollars per hour. And because of the complexities of the 4 proposals, it was decided that we would bring the information back in April, more concise. And
Okay. Good, thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, there is no old, public session. We enter now under old business. There isn't any. So our first item under new business is COM 0326-1. This is to review and approve WFS Corporation Jet-A Fuel Service Agreement. Could I have a motion, Commissioner Melo, for this item?
COM 0326-1, motion to approve the 3-year WFS Corporation Jet-A Fuel Service Agreement in the amount of product cost of Cape Cod Gateway Airport's aviation gasoline, jet fuel, and related products for resale. Sponsor Finance Committee.
And could I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made in a second. Manager Nelson, could you bring us up to speed on this, please?
Okay, and not much different than the agreements that were in the meeting prep stuff. It's a 3-year agreement with the option for 2 subsequent 1-year extensions. It's similar, very similar to the existing contract that we have with WFS Corporation. And it was decided on WFSS Corporation due to the success of the fuel program, the reliability of WFS Corporation meeting the demands of Cape Cod Gateway Airport, and the very good relationship between the parties. Since I've been here, we have not missed one fuel delivery. They've all been on time, and they have been very attentive when we call for any type of service or issues that have come up. So that's all I have for this item.
Okay. I would only ask, fueling is a big part of our business, if you will. It's a profit location for us within our budget, and I'm just curious with the impact of what's going on in the Middle East, how that has impacted us in any way, if it has at all.
So if you'd like, I was gonna put that in the update section,
Okay.
but I'm more than happy to do it right
We can
now
wait till we have-
as
we can wait till
background.
the update, fine.
Okay,
I'm fine with that. Does anyone else have any issues, questions, concerns on item 326-1?
Just, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just for clarification, this is an agreement for this company to sell this airport fuel,
yes,
and then this airport resells it to the flying public?
yes,
Okay, thank you.
you are.
But we're not, excuse me, we're not approving any numbers, amounts of
No,
per
it's-
gallon cost or anything of that, because that
it's
that
all
fluctuates.
Based on market prices, yes. So every Tuesday, we receive a quote from the supplier saying, this is what we're charging you for this week, and this was your last week's cost.
Then we adjust accordingly in terms of what we
Yes.
sell.
Got it,
Okay.
thank you.
I mean, we see it at the day-to-day at our gas stations now, it's gone up 50 cents over the past couple of weeks. At any rate, okay, motion's been made, been second, no further discussion, I'll call this vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that is a vote. Next item on the agenda is COM 0326-2. This is to review and approve the WFS Corporation refuel agreement. Commissioner Keough, would you please make that motion?
Yes, I move to approve the WFS Corporation, can they change their name?
World Fuel Service.
Move to approve the World Fuel Service Corporation 3-year refueler agreement concerning delivery, lease, and return of 2 Jet A fueling vehicles in the amount of $73,080.
Okay, the sponsor of that is the Finance Subcommittee. Might I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, Manager Nelson, could you expand on what this is about?
Thank you. And this points to the relationship I alluded to in the first item. Last summer, we decided that we needed a little more fuel capacity on the airport, and they agreed to a zero-cost fuel truck for us. So last summer, we were operating with an additional 5,000-gallon truck that we paid for delivery and return, and that was it. And in talking to them, it was also decided to save the airport a little money, that in October, once the height of the fueling season was over, they would take back 2 other fueling trucks, a 3,500-gallon truck and a 5,000-gallon truck, so that we wouldn't have the lease costs we normally have through the winter months with a truck, or 2 trucks in this case, just sitting there. So this agreement is for the fuel trucks that Cape Cod Gateway Airport normally uses to provide the Jet A fuel to our customers. And the lease rate that is agreed upon is $2,795 per month. And these would be for 2 new refuelers, brand new, so hopefully the maintenance will be very minimal. And it's the same lease rate we've been paying since 2020. So no increase in price on our refuelers. So that's budget-wise very friendly.
Any questions from anyone on the commission? Not hearing any, I'll call this vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
There's a vote. Next item, COM 0326-3. This is to review and approve the WFS branding agreement. Commissioner Wow, would you make that motion, please?
This is a motion to approve the WFS branding agreement authorizing Cape Cod Gateway Airport to offer Phillips 66 products in the amount of $0. The sponsor is the Finance Subcommittee, and it may be acted upon.
Second, please.
Second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. Discussion from the manager, please.
And this just is related to item number 1. And to the question it points to is, yes, we buy strictly from them, and we are authorized to resell to our customers, Jet A and any other fuel products that we have on the airport. So it's exclusivity for Cape Cod Gateway Airport for the Phillips 66 aviation fuel and petroleum products, and this is no cost, it just binds us to Phillips 66 products that we buy from them and we resell.
Okay, any questions or comments? And I'm assuming, Manager Nelson, that WFS only supplies Phillips products? They don't
Yes.
do other-
Correct.
Okay, I'll call the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, okay. That is a vote. Next item on the agenda is COM 0326-4. This is to review and approve a Vector LLC Amendment Number 1 for the plain noise complaint system. Commissioner Melo, would you please make that motion?
Motion to approve the Vector LLC Amendment Number 1 for the 6-month no-cost plain noise complaint collection and capture system in the amount of $0. Sponsor Finance Subcommittee.
Second, please.
Second.
Okay, Manager Nelson?
Yes, this is the noise complaint portal and software that was discussed in January that we were asked to move forward on for the no-cost amendment for the noise complaint product supplied by Vector LLC. And it's to improve the complainant's reporting platform and to improve our noise complaint processing. And the agreement ends August 31st of 2026. But a decision to implement the pay-for-service platform will be needed to be made on or before the August commission meeting. And so this will most likely be brought up in the July meeting to make sure that there's ample time for all discussion and debate, because it definitely will add a cost to the budget going forward if we do incorporate this one. But it is a high-quality product. There was a demonstration a few weeks ago for everybody, and it looks like it's a vehicle that will enable the airport to respond to the area's noise complaints, and a much better portal for us to process the complaints, because they can process emails, it can process the phone calls, all that type of media, instead of us relying on us interpreting the information and then putting it into the portal as we now do.
So this is a more factual, accurate response that we will be giving to a potential complainant relative to airport noise.
And yes, and it will be data-driven. It'll take out any type of emotion, if any emotion exists, so it'll be more concise in that and more consistent.
And will the company Plain Noise actually be initiating that response, or will that be internal?
The plain noise response does the responses, and it'll be through Vector, but it's the plain noise platform.
And those are done in a timely.
Very timely, yes.
I know that Chris Lonsberry had sent us an example of that, and it seemed one of the issues, it was an immediate response, which is what people want to hear, so that was a good thing, so.
Can I have a clarification on that,
Yes.
Mr. Chair? So this is, it will be a new software that will be introduced in August.
Yeah,
Thank
no,
you.
no, it'll be introduced, and that was also gonna be in the updates. It'll actually be ready to go before April 1st, so we should be online by April 1st.
This April?
Yes.
Okay,
And that's to provide a time during a busier air traffic period where we can really see how the system is set up, and also how the complainants feel about it, and also how the airport and commission perceive it's working. So it's our highest traffic volumes of the year, May through August, so it'll be a very good test.
great, thank
I
you.
think it's
You're
important too that, obviously we had the demonstration last month, and it's critical that we have this time frame over the next few months to really evaluate and see how it works. And Liz, I want to thank you for coming as the Yarmouth rep, but you're also the Yarmouth member of the Board of Selectmen, filling in for Chris Greeley today, so I want to welcome
Thank
you and recognize your presence.
Yeah,
Wish you well.
It's an addition to the vector system, is that correct?
Yes, the
Because we use the vector system for other things.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do we have any idea what the additional cost might be if we adopt it?
I don't recall off the top of my head. I will get that information back to you.
And another thing is, would it be appropriate for us to reach out to the other towns besides Barnstable to assist in the cost of this, since a lot of the other towns are having their citizens report in?
It's an interesting question. I have not looked at it in that light, but we do, it provides time with the 5 months ahead of us to look into that and see what we can come up with. I think
Well,
that'd
we should at
be
least let
good for the round,
the adjoining towns know.
the noise discussions.
I'm sure they'll be very happy to participate the way we are, but
Well, I know Yarmouth has funded an airport specialist to help work on particular issues, so I know that they were ready, willing, and able to do that, and I commend the town of Yarmouth for doing that. And perhaps there is other communities that might want to support that.
Yeah,
Maybe
great idea.
maybe this is the right time if you think that, I do have a note from Bob Rittenauer, our town administrator, just that we're very grateful to be included in the airport noise roundtable. And we're awaiting the next meeting so we can invite our consultant and share our win-win strategy for a voluntary modified flight path to help solve some of the problems for the nearby densely developed residential areas. And it would seem that this might be a part of that roundtable discussion.
Yeah, we'll definitely have information and factual data that will help us support that, but I think one of the key comments that you made was a voluntary flight pattern. We don't necessarily have we can't tell people when we're open 24/7. We can't tell people what time they can
Dictate,
fly. I
right?
mean,
Can't dictate the
we have to
flights.
convince them to work with us so that we keep our neighbors happy. If we have the opportunity to make those kinds of conditions, we probably would, and we probably would have done it over time, but under federal rules and regulations, we don't have that authority. So I
Is there
think
any
people need to
time?
understand that.
Thank you. Is there any timeline for the roundtable?
That Sean McDonough,
Sean's
Sean,
working
excuse
on
me,
that.
Sean,
Okay.
he's the reporter. Sean Driscoll, I read the sports pages.
and Sean is,
He's
A little plug for the Boston
he's
Globe.
he's down south right now.
He's exactly, he's at JetBlue Park. Sean Driscoll is heading that up, maybe you want to comment on that
Correct.
one.
Yes, and one other point is, even though we won't be online probably until about April 1st, there's an outside chance that we're going to be able to integrate the first quarter, or I should say this quarter's noise into the system, so that hopefully at the quarterly noise summary, we're going to have that data for the larger audience.
Good.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
It might be a great opportunity at the next roundtable to be able to demonstrate the software and its capabilities so that Yarmouth folks can
Excellent
understand
idea.
how they can interact with it online.
Great idea. That was a good presentation, and it.
Yeah, very impressive.
It was
Yeah,
very
really
impressive.
good.
And the fact that they respond so quickly, and, you know, it's not load bearing on the staff here, which is already more than it should be. Okay, I will call this vote for CON 03-26-4. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that is a vote. Next item is COM 0326-5. This is to review and approve the 211 Airport Road non-aviation licensing agreement. Commissioner Keough, would you please make that motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the 211 Airport Road non-aviation license agreement to use premises at the airport for parking passenger vehicles in the amount of $51,422.16 in minimum revenue per year.
Okay, once again, this is sponsored by the Finance Subcommittee, and do we have a second?
Second,
Okay, motion's been made with a second. I would ask Manager Nelson to report on this, please.
Yes, and the minimum yearly amount, it was based on the appraisal that was done this September for that property, and is currently leased to HMI, and that is used for satellite parking for the High Line, so it's a help for the town also in that neighborhood, relieves some of the congestion hopefully over there. And at this time, HMI is in a month-to-month status, so when this RFP goes out, it'll be open to competition for everybody, but it's specifically just for car parking, no boats, no RVs, anything like that, just for cars. And the minimal acceptable license fee for the RFP is again based on the September 2025 appraisal, and the associated RFP will be issued if this agreement is approved by the commission.
Okay, any other comments, discussions, questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Looking at the licensing agreement, under section 6, licensing fees, paragraph A, there's a table for license fee for year 1, 2, and 3. And the annual and monthly rates for all of those are all X's.
And that'll be, so if somebody bids, say $1.57 per square foot, and then somebody else, but the chosen submission is $1.65, that's why those are all blank. The, will be filled in by the submitters.
So we're not approving an agreement with any party.
No, we're just.
We're approving the construct of the agreement.
Correct.
Thanks very much.
And then the request for proposal will parse out the different prices and submittals.
Thank you.
And this is
You're
the
welcome.
parking to the north side of Cape Air, correct? That's where we're talking?
Yes.
That,
So as you're driving in,
Yep.
Cape Air's on your right, Atlantic straight ahead. The lot
that's the last one.
next to you is Cape Air parking and Atlantic Aviation parking. And beyond that is where this lot is.
So those are primarily short-term as well as long-term
Yes.
folks, I imagine, from Nantucket for the most part.
I would
Probably
imagine
other
so.
parking.
Usually it's
Yeah.
SUVs, larger passenger vehicles.
Because you can always tell when there is a school vacation on Nantucket, that lot is empty.
Yeah, and a
Yeah,
lot
I saw it
during the
filling, it was
winter.
empty last, I saw it filling up this week.
Yes.
Okay, motion's been made, seconded, we'll call this vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that is a vote. Next item is COM 0326-6. This is to review and approve the JSX lease agreement. Commissioner Weil, would you please make that motion?
Yeah, this is a motion to approve the one-year JSX lease agreement, lease of space in the airport terminal for ticket counter, operations and office spaces to provide passengers and baggage services to airport patrons in the amount of $7,876.08 in revenue. The sponsor is the Finance Subcommittee, and it may be acted upon.
And might I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and second. This is regarding the JSX lease agreement. If you could share your thoughts, Manager Nelson.
Yes, so this is a one-year term, and it's to ensure compatibility for both parties. JSX, this will be their first time at Hyannis, so they want to see if the business model works for them, and we'll also see if they're, good to work with for the airport. I have to apologize, I made a mistake and didn't provide the 50% rate for the phase 2 of the agreement. The phase 1 rent is still $0, but the phase 2 rent is $5,026.80 instead of my mistake of $7,876.08, which is what I presented to them last October, November, when we first started discussing this, and I just didn't carry it properly into the lease. And then again, talked to them for the Finance Subcommittee, if I remember right, and told them about the mistake, but did not make it in the meeting materials correctly. So my apologies. And JSX would be flying from here to Teterboro and Teterboro to Hyannis. Teterboro Airport is known as a premier airport, one of the busiest and oldest private jet airports, serving the New York City metropolitan area, located only 12 miles from Manhattan, and a top choice for private jet travelers, A-listers, and business aviation in the New York City area, recording over 143,000 to 177,000 plus operations annually and houses 5 FBOs offering luxury services like VIP lounges, concierge services, customs clearance. And I did cheat, that's all from the JSX website and Teterboro's website, combination of the two. JSX provides service from White Plains in New York City to southern Florida destinations of West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale Executive, Opelika, Naples. And as a charter air carrier, this is in line with the MVP Strategic Plan Goal 1.3 to establish new airlines and routes, and may lead to an expansion of Hyannis to Florida destinations. The thought would be, if they're successful here and everything's working out, is to see if they're somehow situated to maybe go from Hyannis to White Plains and then a one-stop to some Florida destination. but that's still a long ways off, and it's just an idea at this time. And JSX will be promoting and marketing their service, so you'll notice on the lease that was updated, it has a July start date. That's in order to give them, if this is approved, enough time to market to the new service for them. And they wanted a 90 to 120 day window for marketing purposes. So we just came up with that date late yesterday.
And you've designated the terminal space in terms of where the office, where they'll be located.
Yeah, so it would be where Southern Airways Express was. It's the closest to this area, the car rental area, and also closest to where they would be processing passengers at this gate right outside the window here. It would be a Part 135 operation like the Cape Air operation in the morning that services Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard with the workers. So they wouldn't be going through TSA screening. They would be going here and walking out the door, but JSX would do a private screening.
Okay, questions from the commission, if any? Okay, I'll call this vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that is a vote. Next item on the agenda is COM 0326-7. This is discussion of the MVP strategic plan as to whether the commission should have management focus on up to 3 goals at a time or all the goals continuously. I would ask Commissioner Keough to make this motion.
Okay, so a motion to discuss as to whether or not the commission should have management focus on up to 3 goals at a time or all the goals continuously. As written, it says in the amount of $000, that shouldn't be in there at all. It's not a financial issue.
Correct.
And this is discussion only. So this is just a motion to allow us to discuss.
Okay, is there a second, please?
Second.
Okay. I have some thoughts on this. I don't know if you want me to hold them or.
No, this is based on the conversation we had during the Finance Subcommittee meeting. It was my understanding that the group, relatively overall, wanted to just bring this to the open forum, public forum, to hash out. You know, I've talked to Sean Driscoll, the assistant manager, about the priorities with what we should work on and moving forward, how we will manage the strategic plan overall. As you notice with the JSX item, there was the inclusion of that and the acknowledgement of that. So it'll be stuff like that. It'll be up to Sean to track whether it's somebody. Mary could be one of the people that identifies something and does something, and it'll be up to Sean to go in and update the plan accordingly. So
My only concern and comment really is, having written as many people in this dais have done with strategic plans, worked on them, implemented them, evaluated them. I just don't see how you can just work on X amount of goals. It's a comprehensive list of things that we want to have going. And a lot of them are overlapping, all going on at the same time. So I don't want to inhibit us as a commission or you as a management team to say that, goal number 2, 6, and 7 are the only ones you can be working on at a given time. When I think you should be looking at everything from an umbrella approach and say, hey, this one fits here, this one fits there, there's overlap, and then reporting back to us on a regular basis. I just don't think we need to isolate them. That's my thinking.
And Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
the way that's managed is simply by the dates that you set on when you plan on tackling a particular objective under a goal, right? So if you got your plate full right now and you're looking at everything that's in the plan and saying, well, you know what, we're not going to be able to get to those till next year. We'll set the dates up for next year, right?
Commissioner.
Yeah, I totally failed in my objective. I wanted to bring this before the whole commission, and we're missing part of the commission, the idea to get their input on it since we discussed it. Had a good airing of it, communicated with Mike. My issues were really from the point of view of lots of the things in the plan require revenue, and the revenue coming from FAA funding, which they're due to some of the restrictions and grant restrictions, make funding very, very difficult, making it hard for us to sometimes accomplish some of the things that we wanted to do. Also, the human resources, you're short-staffed, and want to make sure that we focus on getting the right staffing levels and people with the right credentials to do the jobs that are needed in the strategic plan. And my general view of it's the commission's responsibility to provide vision and oversight. And we do a lot of oversight sometimes, and I don't think enough vision. We need to be able to communicate that so that you can devote your attention the way we think it should be done. That was my motivation for it. Mark put a lot of his own personal time into developing this. He was hurting us as cats trying to get a document out the door. It was a major effort. There was a lot of input that came from people on the outside. In fact, one of the members of WFS, the fuel company, actually was sat in on a bunch of the meetings. So, I mean, it was great effort.
No, I agree, and, my only comment is that I just don't see how you isolate goals and objectives. I mean, we have a vision, we know where we wanna go. If we're not getting there, then there has to be a reason behind it, and all of that's recorded in the document.
Right.
As Commissioner Gale was suggesting, we can change dates, we can change take but I don't wanna say if there's, I forget exactly how many goals there are. There's probably 48 goals and probably 30 objectives, whatever the case may be. I just don't, I've never worked a strategic plan where you're not working it all the time collectively. Sometimes you're working on one phase a little bit more than another, and you make it, you focus the necessary energy in that particular area, depending on, what's being dealt to you at that given time. So I just don't want to lose sight of, focus on 3 and lose sight of 5 other goals. It just is, I would not be in favor of that at all.
And
Commissioner Gill?
yes, and it should not be a parallel process. It should be integrated into what is done on a daily basis, but managed on a workload basis, just like you manage your regular workload. So, I mean, I remember the QTP days.
Yep.
One of our greatest fears was that QTP was going to be a parallel process instead of being integrated into how we do things. And in a lot of ways, I think that's why that program died, because it never got actually integrated into the day-to-day. So, but how that happens and at what rate, and that's what we're expecting from you. And if you need help, if you get stuck anywhere along the line, we're here for you. I think Norm's concerned about the finance part. If the strategic plan didn't exist, we'd still go after that finance pieces, right? Because it's necessary. The fact that it's in the strategic plan doesn't mean that we're not going to address it, or because we said you can set that up for 2 years down the road. Obviously, if there's a financial mechanism going on where we need to execute and get the money, that's going to be by itself a priority.
Yeah.
But that's your brilliance. That's your management skill.
I think in conclusion, I think what I'm hearing and what we're saying is that, as opposed to just saying we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, or 5, 7, 9, or whatever the case might be, we're gonna look at this as a whole entire package, and we're gonna leave it up to your leadership and your wisdom in partnership with Sean, as well as the other members of his staff to implement this. And if there are issues or there are concerns, and for a fact that, geez, that date's not gonna be met, then it's your responsibility through our subcommittee meetings to inform us and keep us in the loop, because there is gonna be an evaluation about, we are setting goals and objectives, and, we're gonna hold the airport management to those standards, but not to the point where they're the be-all, end-all. I mean, we have flexibility in terms of who we are and what we're about. So I don't want you to think that, that's the only report card that we're going to be looking at. We know your plate is full, we know what the staff do here, and at the same time, every goal that was identified, every objective that was identified, we gave it metrics, we gave it dates. So, I feel, and I think the majority of the folks feel, that we have to be addressing those collectively, sometimes one area more than another, but as a whole package, as opposed to individualizing them and just saying we're gonna focus on this for, January, and we'll go to goal 2 in February and go to goal 3 in March. That's not the way any kind of a business works. Everything overlaps. It's always running at the same time, sometimes more than others.
Mr. Chairman, though, just to clarify,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that the dates can't be changed,
Correct.
right?
Oh, yeah.
That's based on
Yeah.
workload.
No, I think really there's a lot of good points being said, and I appreciate Norm for bringing it up.
And the word integration, I think, is key here because I've been here almost a year now, and then since about beginning of May of last year, I was kind of on my own for a while there outside the staff, but as far as the manager goes. And I believe that a lot of the plan had been, even though it wasn't at the forefront, had been being worked on, just because that's the way I kind of work. Like today I had a conversation with this ex-person about something that's not even, wasn't even on my radar 3 months ago. Never mind 3 weeks ago, probably.
Sure.
And I said, okay, I'll make the time today to do that. And within the next 6 to 8 weeks, hopefully, that conversation metastasizes into this room, because it's something that is on that list of goals. It's one of the objectives, but by the same token, it's not something that, okay, the commission told me I have to focus on either all 8 or
Yeah.
these 3. So I think day to day, these things are always being worked on. It's just a matter of remembering to say, oh, okay, we gotta, as you say, give ourselves credit
Yes.
for that.
And that's,
And, things are still moving forward. And to Norm's point about finances, which is a very big challenge, is now when we start looking at any possible expansion and some of these goals, we're talking about capital that exceeds $33 million. So when we start talking about those types of projects and timelines, now we have to say, well, it is dependent upon grants. So there's something that might have to be tabled, dates change, things like
Sure,
that.
exactly.
and I think
You got it.
you're confirming the fluidity of what a strategic plan is all about. It's not set, even though we have goals, we have objectives, we have expectations. It's a living document, if you will.
But
It's
to
being
Norm's
massaged.
point, there are definitely a couple of things,
Oh, yeah.
I'm here, I'm focused on these 1 or 2 things, just for efficiency and also prioritization. Is only like that project that's going on right now, the art stands that's on the screen right now, that is priority number 1.
Sure.
For the safety of
Yeah.
everybody that's on that airport, because they're within sometimes 8 or 9 feet of aircraft going by, and for the schedule of that thing, because that thing's gotta be done May 4th,
Right.
no doubt, so that's getting a lot of attention right now. So, thank you.
Okay, I don't know, do we need to vote on this, I guess?
No, there's no vote, it's just discussion only.
Okay.
Really shouldn't have been an agenda item.
It really should have been on the agenda.
Yeah,
Apologize.
should be an
I
update.
appreciate the fact that you
Yep.
put it on there, but it's more of a.
If I could just say
Yes,
one
yes,
thing,
sir.
that, Manager Nelson has been dealing for the last year with a number of things, like catching up on leases. We were behind on leases. And he's been dealing with a lot of little operating things that gets me to react in a certain way. What I appreciate most about him is his overall vision. I appreciate that in his leadership, and he sees a big picture, bigger picture,
Absolutely,
than-
which is,
and it's very
leadership
important
needs
to
to do.
us. And
Absolutely.
I want him freed up to do that.
agreed. Any other comments? Okay, we'll move on to item COM 0326-8. This is to review and approve the FY '26 on-call communication management and community outreach services scope of work as the basis for the request for proposal. Commissioner Weil, would you make that motion, please?
Yes, this is the motion to approve communications management and community outreach services scope of work as the basis for the request for proposal. The sponsor is the Infrastructure and Marketing Subcommittee, and it may be acted upon.
Okay, have a second, please.
Second.
Okay, for discussion purposes, Manager Nelson, could you bring us up to speed on what this one is about?
Thank you. And at this time, Pierce Cote is our current on-call communications manager and community outreach services. So they provide pretty much what this scope of work is. And similar to the strategic plan, there's different priorities at different times. But for the most part, this is what they've been following. The only item that was not on their scope of work was number 17, and it is in your packet. And that's the analytics in support of traffic to website pages and social media, blogs, and other hosted digital media with benchmarks and recommendations for optimizing relevant pages with content or SEO or search engine optimization to drive traffic to desired content. In a nutshell, they use the analytics to try to get this on your phone or your computer or whatever as much as possible, so that anytime you click something, Cape Cod Gateway Airport shows up and you want to book a trip out of here or come visit the airport, whatever your desire is. Now, it's been going back and forth. I read some old notes from negotiations 3-4 years ago that this is very expensive. Some people, like we were talking in the infrastructure subcommittee meeting, say, no, this is something that they should have without a cost to
Yes.
this.
Yes.
So the thing I'm thinking about doing in this request for proposal, if this scope is accepted, is it can be parsed out in the request for proposal, and they can give us a price for all 24 items except for 17, and take 17 out and say, what would the cost be for this? It can be framed that way. I don't know if it's necessary to do that. It seems like the little I know about this mechanism, it shouldn't be that expensive of an item, and it should be included in the scope of work.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
So the origin of this and the concern about this, I know that I in particular was not feeling like we were getting our money's worth out of this contract, and that was at a point where they were explaining that, no, you have to pay us more because this stuff that you want us to do isn't in the contract, and we all thought it was. And so then it became, well, how do we know we're getting a bang for the buck? If we ask them to market in a certain area and nobody goes to our website, then how do we know that what we paid them to do that is worthwhile? And so that was what the idea was to find out, look, if you're gonna market, if you're gonna represent us out in the world and drive traffic to us, we should be able to measure that so that we can evaluate where we're spending our money and are we getting a return on the investment. And I'm concerned that the pushback on this is, oh, this is gonna be really expensive. A lot of the stuff that is listed in here is normally in website metrics. You get it automatically.
Google Analytics, you get a lot of it.
Yeah, so, and if we parse this out and they gave us a separate price for us and it's like a ridiculous price, what do we do with that? We don't, how do we, they're maintaining the website, how do we hire somebody else to do this to get information off of the website they're maintaining for us? So I'm really kind of conflicted and confused about this. I know that for a couple of years now, and I know that, Mr. Chairman, you're familiar with this, that we have asked them to reach out to the Metropolitan Washington Airport Authority to advertise in their newsletter the new routes that are available from Washington to Cape Cod, and they have yet failed to do it. And yet every quarter I see that newsletter come out and other destinations are advertising their new routes, right? Again, we've got no measure of it. And so that's where my concern is around 17 and really about the whole scope of work, which I know that you sensed some stuff when you first came in and take a look at it. I think you talked about it like meetings that were going on every 2 weeks that really weren't accomplishing anything, but we were paying through the nose for, right? So I look at you, I look at the manager, Mr. Chairman, that he evaluates the scope of work, he decides, is this worth it, is it not worth it, what would you like to do, what would you not like to do? But I really think that metrics has to be part of it.
Yeah, I would only add that this is going to be language that's going to go into an RFP.
Yes.
So we want to be sure that any language that we put in there is all-inclusive and is measurable.
Yes.
I don't see how you have, how you parse this out in terms of the listing of items, so I think in many cases it's going to be an all or nothing. But at the same time, what concerns me is that, in the infrastructure and marketing committee that I attended, it was suggested that there might be a 33% increase overall in this item, because there hasn't been an increase in 3 years. Well, that's pretty substantial. So I want to be sure that whatever goes into this RFP is items and issues that we're concerned with, things that we need, that we require, and that the expectations are clear, because I think in the past they haven't been.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
In reference to that, there hasn't been an increase. If I remember correctly, last year we authorized a $68,000 increase to the Pierce Coute contract.
That was an extension, I believe, and $6,000 per month.
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah, 150.
what I'm referencing here is the 33%.
Yeah,
This
there's a-
contract has the potential to increase by over 33% compared with the current agreement, as there was no cost increase over the prior 3 years. All I'm saying is that, I mean, we can easily do the math wherever that 33% came from, whatever that number is, we know what we're dealing with. It. If we're gonna put it out as an RFP, then it's not only gonna be Pierce Cote that's gonna receive this as a document, it's gonna be other entities.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
we'll
we'll-
have to have an evaluation, we'll have an evaluation. I would, then when it actually gets done, I would ask one of our commissioners to be on that review committee, as we usually do with some of our RFPs, but I think this one in particular, it would be
Yes.
important that we do that. Commissioner Weil?
What I'm hearing in the discussion about this, to me, is consistent with other contracts with other vendors providing other services, that we have found over the years that when something comes before the finance subcommittee, we sit there and go, what do you mean that wasn't included?
Right, yeah.
So this is an extension of all of that, that I think, and it may not be practical, I don't know the answer to it, but in these contracts, but we're looking to be less surprised with, we agreed to have you do this work, and then all of a sudden, you come across with X thousands of dollars that weren't in the original contract, that we thought you did. So it's really being clear in all of our contracts, including this, what we're getting for our money. And then we can evaluate whether.
Right, and we now have the opportunity, I mean, we can put in all of the facts and figures of things that we want in the contract. And we can also use, AI is now part of our life, whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's Claude, whether it's Perplexity, I mean, they'll rifle out something in 2 minutes, and just to make you think about what should be in there.
Yeah.
So I think as we move this forward, that will all be part of the discussion.
Yeah, because this, in this contract, the existing contract ends June 30th of this year. So there's a little time, but not a lot of time.
Yeah.
And when I look at this in that light, it took me a while to find this scope of work, digging through stuff, because it wasn't attached to the contract. That was one of the problems. By incorporating into the RFP, it becomes part of the contract, so that, okay, we might have missed something, or I might have missed something, but at least we have these 24 bullets that, no, this is what we expect in the contract, and you priced for that, and you signed to that.
And I would be remiss too if I didn't also suggest that, Pierce Cote has done a good job for us, for the most part.
Yes,
I'm satisfied
I've
with
been very
the
happy
quality,
with
I mean, they've responded when we need them, so I don't want them to think, if they're listening to this,
Yeah.
to this meeting today, that we in any way, shape or form are disregarding their effort and their quality of work.
Yeah,
I totally agree, but, now, we have an attorney review the ultimate final contract.
yes.
Is that town attorney, is that outside?
Court.
Anderson Krieger, or?
Yes, Anderson Krieger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been working, as you can tell through all these documents, I've been working with them a lot lately.
It's your rookie year.
Just trying to get through the leases and contracts and other matters.
Well, you're putting a lot that, perhaps should have been done in the past that was not done, and now we're catching up, as
Yeah.
Commissioner Weil suggested. And once they're done, you'll be here and you'll know where the things are buried.
And Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
in line with that, I'll echo comments about what Pierce Cote has done for us. I think where the harm was done was that, as you say, Mike, the scope of work was not attached to the RFP, right? So now they enter into a contract with us with this set of expectations we've got a different set of expectations. Normally that's resolved at a kickoff meeting when the contract starts, and that never happened either. So a lesson learned for us that when we do award a contract, the very first thing we need to do is have that kickoff meeting where we can go through and discuss what each of these things means to us, so that there's a clear understanding on both sides of the parties what this contract involves.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a big help. I'd also like to acknowledge the fact that has been pointed out already a couple of times, that you kind of inherited a lot that wasn't exactly straight, and you had a lot of cleanup work to do. So I want to thank you on top of everything that you've done, just running the airport, but fixing all the stuff that was broken when you walked in the door. I think you've done a terrific job with that, so.
Thank you, but have had a lot of help.
Yes, oh yeah, and please, when I say you, I mean you and your
It's a team.
team. Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
team.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, any other comments or issues, questions on COM 0326-8? Not hearing any, I'll call that vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That is the vote. Next on the agenda is the reports of special committees. Today, our Yarmouth representative is Liz Argo, who is also a member of the Board of Selectmen, filling in for Chris Greeley. Liz, would you like to share with us any information?
I think my note that I brought forward from Bob Rittenhour was duly heard, and I appreciated your response back that, you're aware that Yarmouth has stepped up to the plate there with a consultant.
Yes.
And we look forward to a date for the roundtable. And Chris will be back, she's having some surgery on a foot, I believe, but she'll be back, and she always does a great job.
Okay, great. Thank you, Liz. Okay, next on the agenda are updates. We have a number of those. I would ask Manager Nelson to bring us up to speed on everything from snow removal to fuel to contracts to hard stands. Go for it.
Thank you. And regarding the snow removal, it was absolutely great work by the crews, especially Don Sears, a maintenance supervisor. Very, very challenging conditions. Just the magnitude of the blizzard, the weight of the snow, the timing of the blizzard, and then the timing of the whiteout conditions, and the absolute, like last night, the winds were incredible. They went out there and removed snow starting at midnight Sunday night into Monday morning, and had to come off the field a couple hours later. They actually had runway 33 cleared, and 7-8 hours later, you wouldn't have known they touched it. It just, between the drifting and blowing, it was just incredible. So then they're timing out come Monday, so they need to rest and everything else. And so unfortunately, it was almost like the removal effort didn't even start until sometime Monday afternoon, Monday evening, unfortunately, the way things timed out. And the limited amount of personnel, we're down one, because we haven't been able to fill that position due to the personnel matter that we've had ongoing. And then we had 2 people get hurt, and so we're at 50% at the beginning of the storm. Then one of the people, the 2 that are qualified to remove snow on the taxiways and runways, came down with COVID, so we lost them for 48 hours. And we lost the snow blower for about 4 hours. But then that was the other person who's the only other qualified person on the runways and taxiways. So we in essence lost 8 hours with the snow blower also, because that was the person to fix it, because our maintenance mechanic got hurt in the first storm and hasn't been back since. So just an absolute great job by them. And the storm was such magnitude, as you were probably all aware, state of emergency was declared before that by Massachusetts, and then on top of that, we just had a meeting, Town of Barnstable and Barnstable County yesterday regarding, with MEMA, about getting all the facts together from the storm damage assessments and monies, and they're going to present a case to FEMA, and hopefully the case will be good enough to declare the area disaster during the snow removal, which would hopefully provide some reimbursements. If I remember right, the figure of 4.2 million for just the town of Barnstable alone is would be up on the block for reimbursement if all goes well.
But that's for
Oh.
the town as a whole. Because they've
Yeah.
also reached out to the citizenry to do the same thing
Yes.
to let the town know.
Yes, so crossing the fingers for that. And then the Cape Air hangar fire, it appears there was a spark that ignited fuel during a fuel transfer, and it caused a fire in the hangar. Hyannis Fire Department and Barnstable Police, a incredible, amazing response, put it out very quickly. Damage could have been far worse to the structure. Unfortunately, 2 people were hurt with non-life-threatening injuries, and 1 went to the hospital that day, was sent home, then had to return, and 1 person went the next day with smoke-related injuries. So, but they're all healthy now and back to work. Last week, a airport representative in the town of Barnstable Insurance, the person went to the hangar to go through it with the Cape Air insurance person, and Thursday, the town insurance person plus the insurance adjuster for the town and myself will be touring the facility also. And that's it on the fire and the projects. The hards,
Excuse me, the person that was injured, he or she is doing okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
did ARF respond?
Arfrey was the first response. And because of our, aircraft rescue firefighting foam, we did not put any resources on that fire. It was all Hyannis Fire Department with their engines, so, because we did not want to, we're really only gonna use that triple F foam if it's for an aircraft and life-saving out there. Thank you, good question. Projects, the hard stand, which is pictured, that's from about probably 6 hours ago. And they did the milling, removed asphalt today. And they'll be starting excavation tomorrow of that. And they're moving right along, deadline May 4th. And so far, so good, knock on wood. And a great project, Lawrence Lynch and Airport Solutions Group, the engineer, doing a really nice job. Our guys overseeing all the escorts and everything. It's tightened up real nice. Christina Lonsberry with all the security, making sure we're complying with all our requirements. So they're doing a real nice job.
And for the sake of our audience, why don't you explain what hard stands are relative to the weight of the plane and sitting on soft
Yes.
asphalt?
So right now, the asphalt area where the American Airlines and JetBlue aircraft park presently is only 4 inches of asphalt, which for those aircraft of those size just isn't enough. And we experienced degradation of the asphalt over the last couple of summers. Rutting, it was very obvious, the rutting that was occurring. So to prevent any damage to aircraft or people, it was decided a couple of years ago to replace the asphalt in these areas with concrete hard stands so that they could withstand the force of the aircraft. The concrete will be high strength and it will be 9 inches in thickness so that we can park any size aircraft on those hard stands that are flying at this airport.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then the smart microgrid project that is a potential solar array on the east side of the airport, or southeast side of the airport, where the Steamship Authority currently has leases. We've been working with the Mass DOT and the Steamship Authority for coordination of parking spaces and the potential for the solar array with the also storm water retention that is needed for that parking lot. So all parties have been coordinating on and off since October, and the deadline for the submission to get a potential extension for grant funding from federal government to the Mass Department of Transportation was Sunday, so the submittal went in on Friday the 13th of March. And if that submittal is successful, there'll be another 3-month extension to broaden the plans and design of that area for consideration for a grant. If the submission is not sufficient the project will probably not go any further at this time.
While we're talking about SSA, what's the story with their lease as we move forward?
So the Steamship Authority met with them a couple of weeks ago, and we set the parameters and the needs for improvements on the site. And also, right now, all the tractor trailers are proposed to go to the northeast portion of that parking lot, which is also adjacent to where Marine Lumber parks their tractor trailers for their deliveries to Nantucket back and forth. And so Mary Dunn Way, which as you know was just completed a couple of years ago, is taking a lot of tractor trailer traffic. And it also intermingles with the Mary Dunn tenants that we have on the airport.
It's also getting beat up as you make that turn. It's
Correct.
It's getting chewed up and not looking good.
So part of what the engineer for the Steamship Authority is doing is, after conversations about how we might be able to alleviate that traffic, is looking at a potential different entrance on the southeast side so that it would be a tractor trailer entrance only, and reconfigure the parking to accommodate that. And if the solar arrays ever do get off the ground, to also accommodate the solar arrays. And that meeting, if all goes well, they'll be able to present that tomorrow in a small meeting, just to see what the proposal looks like.
And this also includes the resurfacing, because that's now with dirt.
Yeah, so they already did a mock-up of the existing area where they park, not to include these areas I've been talking about. And, but only the resurfacing of the proposed tractor trailer area. And because of all the dust and degradation of the parking lot and storm water management, I requested that they go back to the drawing board literally and make sure that we have a presentation for paving the entire area.
I think that's critical. I'm glad that you did that, because it's where the new asphalt joins where the dirt field, so to speak, parking area begins, where that's where it all gets chewed up, and you have rocks and pebbles and dirt and filth and
Yes.
just all of that work that was done to beautify that area goes to nil.
Yes, so based on everything that's transpired over the last, probably more seriously in the last 3 months, the meetings are going to be closer together, and I've also asked Anderson Krieger about, because they had been in some negotiations back in 2025 prior to my arrival, and they're very familiar with this, and they'll be going and be part of that negotiating team going forward, so that we can, and I've already given them the background last week on where we stand and what the monetary figures might be for improvements, at least on what the engineer had done up to a couple weeks ago.
And is there an approximation of how many solar panels they would be talking about? How many megawatts of power it would be generating, and what that would mean to us for profit?
Yes, off the top of my head, I don't recall the actual voltage, and I don't want to guess, but it was enough so that we would have energy resilience in case of like the blizzard or something like that, where we could actually operate and not only have our east side of the east ramp be supported by solar energy, but also bring that over to the terminal if all goes well with the size of the field that was out there, and also be able to power Steamship Authority vehicles and also the CCRTA vehicles. It's,
Right, because all their buses now, for the most part, are electric.
yeah. So it's a very inclusive project that would help with a lot of green energy in this area.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. And moving on, so we just covered the steamship leases. That was next up. I did have a note that wasn't on these. If anybody on the commission would like to be part of the car rental decision-making process, that RFP closed last week, and we have to evaluate it going forward. And I'm hoping that we start the evaluation sometime next week and end it as soon as we can. That lease has been out there for a while, and be good to tie
Ask
that
fellow
up.
commissioners if anyone has time and effort to do that.
Yeah, could be done.
Contact,
Okay, great, thank you. Excellent. And contracts, other than everything that we've been reporting, nothing really significant to report. As far as the assistant manager updates, the airport internship program, we now have 3 high schools participating in the airport internship program. They are working with the airport's field staff and local airport businesses with the understanding of how an airport operates. And I don't want to take any of the assistant airport manager's thunder, so I'll leave it to him. He's actually got a nice program set up, and it's really a curriculum that he has set up with the students, and I think their students are gonna get a lot out of it, and the airport's gonna get a lot out of it, so it's a good start. And also, not sure if you heard, speaking of internships and different programs, the 4Cs program up at Plymouth Airport, one of the students that was a seasonal for us last year got a job with General Electric in the helicopter division, making engines for them. I went back and forth with him last night, and he's happy as anything.
You brought up 4Cs, being affiliated with that as a member of the Board of Trustees. We had a meeting not too long ago, and people were most thankful that the entire airport commission went up and made that visit. It was just a terrific opportunity for all of us to see what the aeronautics mechanical program is doing, and as I've told many people, it's an incredible opportunity for young men and women who want to get into the industry to really get a well-paying job for the rest of their life. Virtually no tuition cost, and we're beginning to even begin to talk about air traffic control because there is a move even within Congress right now to award a couple of new grants coming up because of the loss of the number of air traffic controllers that are either retiring or out or moving out. I mean, you know that business as well as Commissioner Gale, as former AFT folks, ATF folks, excuse me. So that's a whole other potential new industry that we're looking at, and that would be perhaps closer in partnership with Hyannis Airport in terms of perhaps classroom and other kinds of opportunities. And the other reason we went to Plymouth was it was before my time on the board, but I've always tried to get Hyannis more involved in terms of what is that what we're doing, was because of available hangar space.
Yes.
That was the issue. Commissioner Wild?
About the high school students,
Yes.
I read that there was a career fair at Barnstable High School. Did the airport participate in that?
We did, and there's one coming up in, did he put it? There's another one coming up in about 2 weeks that we're participating in also. So, yeah, we're, Sean Driscoll is very involved and very engaged in that. And the great thing about it is I was actually on a Zoom call this morning about Bridgewater State University reaching out and trying to increase awareness of the aviation industry. And I've learned it over the last 20 years, there's a real lack of knowledge that these programs even exist. So these internship programs are really good and great to do
And
that.
also, Cape Cod Community College has a partnership with Bridgewater State University so that all of our classes, courses, and programs automatically transfer into their airport management program, into their pilot licensing program. So there's a very, very strong connection between the two. And if anyone who's out there watching, if anyone needs those kinds of connections, whether it be through Cape Cod Community College or through the airport, I know this commission, I know as well as the Board of Trustees at Cape Cod are ready, willing, and able to help process that.
If only I was 60 years younger.
I tell people if,
I'll
What's
take
age got to
10,
do with it?
actually.
Has nothing to do with age.
I tell folks, and I'll
Has to
say
do
it
with
again
ambition.
to the audience that might be listening, if you go to the Cape Cod Community College Mechanical Aeronautics program, first of all, the tuition's free now in all community colleges across the Commonwealth, so there's no tuition. You get accepted to that program, you do the 2-year program at Cape Cod Community College, you do all of your, for the most part, most of your work is done up at Plymouth Municipal Airport, as you already suggested, because that's also part of our catch basin, if you will, in terms of where a lot of our students come from. But you go to that program, you spend the 2 years, your senior year, which is really like a sophomore year, you take all of the appropriate government FAA and FAA tests and required programs. You basically will go out and start at a job at a minimum of $100,000. And we have recruiting companies come to the college on a regular basis looking for these students. So whether it's JetBlue, whether it's United, whether it's American, I've talked to students who've gone through that program. They're basically going out starting at $100,000, getting a $10,000, in some cases a $15,000 signing bonus. Virtually anywhere in the world they want to go to, because every airline flies everywhere. So JetBlue, you go interview, I wanna work out of Fort Lauderdale, or I wanna work out of XYZ, I wanna work out of wherever, and you can do that. And then you figure, so now the kid is, the young man or woman is maybe 21, 22, if they're just coming out of high school or even a little bit older. We all know in our younger days, we all worked a lot of overtime. So technically, you work some overtime plus your regular hours, you got a $200,000 a year job for the rest of your life with good benefits, health benefits, retirement benefits. So I say that as a opportunity for, as Commissioner Wiles said, if I was 18 again, I'd be rethinking what I did.
Yeah, so, and with that connection between Bridgewater State University, Cape Cod Community College, Plymouth Airport, I was actually voted in as a board member for the Bridgewater State University Advisory Board today.
Excellent, congratulations, that's super.
Thank you very
So you'll be
much,
right
so
on
there's
top of it.
another
Super.
connection there too.
Excellent.
Okay, and the noise abatement software is, is gonna be up and running 2 weeks, and future noise abatement roundtables will be set up very shortly, per Sean. The Part 139 inspection will be June 15th through June 17th of this year. It was pushed back about 2 months from what we normally do. It's a new inspector this year, so he works by whatever schedule he sets up. And Assistant Manager Sean Driscoll has been working hand in hand with him pretty much since the day he got here. So it's really good. The AFFF transition for the firefighting foam, the airport's still actively getting quotes for the disposal of the foam, which will be done off-site in order to transition to the PFAS-free firefighting foam in the next few months. And the Cape Cod Gateway Airport Strategic Plan, the latest up-to-date dashboard is up there on the screen. And as you can see, with the one thing we were talking about a few weeks ago, everything has been put dates on it now, and now we're showing, maybe not progress, but green, meaning it's starting.
Yeah.
So,
Good.
so it is up and running and being definitely input into as things come up, and we're doing whatever on those categories and showing whatever progress we have. Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
So just real quick, I think I mentioned this before, and I know everybody's busy, and it's not the highest priority, but I would again ask that the complete strategic plan be posted on the airport website, on the strategic plan page. What's on the strategic plan page right now are the invitations to the sessions, which is irrelevant now. All that stuff should be taken off, and the only two things that should be on the strategic plan page is the full report, full plan, and the dashboard. Right now, the dashboard is sitting on the airport commissioners page, which it really doesn't belong there. It should be on the strategic plan
Good
page.
points.
And then, again, just like once a month, before the airport commission meeting, if we could just throw some bullets into the project highlights box, right? What changed since last month? And no paragraphs, just a few words, very, very simple, that you can speak to and embellish on. That would be great.
Thank you.
But it's looking great. I mean, to your point, you've got, all goals are now active. You've got 30 objectives and, 98 tasks? So there's a lot there. So good job on that. Thank you.
You're welcome, that's more Sean.
That's okay, pass it on.
And let's see, and policies and procedure, airport's currently drafting hazmat policies and procedures to incorporate into a policy book. And last but not least, the fuel. So I've been monitoring the fuel prices very carefully, whether it's the World Fuel Service quotes we get weekly, and just probably 5-6 times a day, I'm going to see what the futures are doing for oil and distillates and things like that, just to see if there's any clarity on how to best ensure our margins, balancing the price and demand and being fair to our customers and trying to create the best win-win situations, because we still want to drive demand, but this is the critical business for us. But my concern is, depending on the current environment, if this volatility continues, are we leveling off now, or is there going to be another upward move in fuel? And what's that going to do for tourism and what we have for business at the airport? So moving forward, just thoroughly reviewing all of our expenses, not just the fuel, making sure we're really as efficient as possible, and making sure our expenses are what is needed and really not much more. Because when you look at it, our fuel cost for delivery January 13th was $2.64 a gallon. That was our cost at that time, not including other things. And this morning, it was $4.51. We're quoted. So it's an increase of $1.87 a gallon, and a price increase of $1.30 since March 3rd, when the conflict started or war started. So we haven't made any moves yet. That's going to be, well, we had done a 30 cents increase the day everything started, just out of the gate. So we didn't have a price shock coming into this week. We haven't had to order fuel since this all started, and we will be taking a delivery on Thursday, and the decision is going to be made tomorrow morning what our actual increase will be, but there'll probably most likely be another 70-cent increase
It's substantial.
in price, but it's still competitive. Every week I also, or a couple times a week, I also look at avgas and jet fuel prices for the region, 45, 50 mile diameter, New Bedford, to make sure I know what's going on in Providence, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, Boston, all the airports within the area, and we're still very competitive with all the other airports. So just want to try to find that balance, because last year our profit attributable to fuel sales was $5,374,028, and the gross profit attributable to all categories was $5,448,028. So without the fuel, the gross profit was $74,096 last year. To say it's tight is an understatement, I think, when you're talking about revenues, that we had, expenses of $10 million, it's up there. And I think our revenues, off the top of my head, were a little over $15 million. So it's a real skinny margin once we take fuel out of it. I mean, it gets better because we haven't, is to Norm's request and input, we still haven't backed out the expenses of insuring our fuel trucks, insuring the fuel farm, what our staffing costs are attributable to fuel. So the margin isn't as skinny as it looks, but it's definitely still not great when we take that into consideration. So this is something that, and it probably drive Mary crazy asking for reports, the amount I do and stuff like that, but I just want to make sure we're on top of it. And if there's any point where we can improve or cut a cost or increase a revenue, we're really looking at that hard right now.
Well, fuel is an important part of what it is that we do
Yes.
on a daily basis, and I think that looking at national reports that have been coming out over the past weeks, even in terms of tourism, I mean, I think we can all expect to be paying more for an airline ticket this coming summer because of fuel and prices and what's going on, and a lot less international flight, I think, will be occurring as opposed to domestic, because a lot of people are concerned about flying out of the country with everything that's going on in other parts of the world. So those are all variables that are out of our control, but yet we have to absorb them and adjust them accordingly in terms of our budget when we actually finalize the FY '26 budget in terms of expenses and revenues, and as we prepare for the new budget that you're working on, the FY '27. All of that is part of it.
Yeah.
So we have to be flexible because if we're not, then we're gonna have some problems down the road.
Yeah, and it's also a matter of, in a way, we're more fortunate than the municipality of Barnstable because we are a provider of our own fuel. So everything we drive around on the field in all our vehicles, we know our cost, at least for the last few weeks, that what we're paying. Whereas, and we can incorporate that to some extent in our budget as a fixed cost, whereas town of Barnstable right now, if, they're looking at their budget, and the DPW especially, and all those vehicles, if they're paying another $1.50 a gallon
That's
at the end of the summer,
a budget buster.
yes, and just
Don't let
like
it
no
snow.
different than the snow removal
Absolutely.
and stuff like
And
that.
police too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Across the board.
So it's a huge thing that, I'm very leery of right now and how this is going to play out over the next few months.
Well, I do feel confident that in the hands of our finance subcommittee, under Commissioner Weil and other members, that we keep a tight rein in terms of what our revenues are, what our expenses are. I know, I attend those meetings myself and asking for really plumbing for information that makes sense relative to reports, because budget, ultimately, that's how we're judged in terms of where we are financially. I mean, safety's number one in terms of what it is that we do here at this airport, but without a strong financial department and controls, then, we're gonna have issues. So I
Well-
applaud the members of the finance committee, as well as yourself and your team, and Mary in particular, for making sure that the numbers we get are accurate and are targeted.
Yeah, safety and security is by and far number one.
Yeah, absolutely.
But without the revenue base to support the safety and security, we're gonna have problems. It's just like the challenge of the grants. To maintain the FAA mandates of safety and security, we need to have that revenue. So,
And we are all on the same page.
yes.
On those particular issues. I agree, you have comments?
Did we skip over TSA or did I totally miss it?
No, that was my fault. Thank you very much for doing that. TSA, as I tell people, I make more mistakes than anybody else in the world. And I transpose my talking points onto the wrong document. And it's a great way to finish because it's one of the most important things of the night. TSA again is not being funded presently, but the TSA staff here at this airport continues to show up day in and day out regardless of the pay status. And I can't say enough about their dedication. The people down there are so professional and they're just great people, and I feel so bad. I've lived the shutdown thing a few times in my FAA career, and it's a tough nut. I heard on the radio driving in this morning or yesterday morning, the average American has $500 in savings.
Oh.
So I don't know how they're situated financially.
Have to pay their rent, they have to buy their food, they have to, it's terrible.
Yes.
It's the insane thing, the way this part of the government is structured, when it's crazy.
And we went through it as controllers.
Yeah, it's controls.
Yeah.
So
It's the
it's
craziest
something, my
damn
heart
thing.
goes out to them, and Marguerite and I were talking about it a little while ago before the meeting, and they appreciate it if you just go down and say hi and thank you.
We will.
Oh.
They're great people down there.
All the while Congress is getting paid.
No comments.
No comments.
So no,
Okay, any
they
other-
are great. You're really a treasure here.
Okay, yes, sir.
What
Yes.
is the TSA supervisor's name?
Oh, jeez, I went back and forth with her a couple weeks ago, I'm sorry. I will get that for you.
That's fine.
I don't want to misstate her name either.
That's fine.
Yes.
Chairman Flores, I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Is the phone that's being used, do you have the new phone, the replacement phone in yet?
We have it for the new vehicle.
Okay,
So the new vehicle will be 100% the new phone.
I think that's something that I would love to share that with,
Please do,
yeah.
which is why we didn't use
Right,
our
you
own
didn't-
equipment. That was a wise decision, Randall. You
What's the
changed
name
it
of the,
from
I mean, how do we reference it?
The company that's supplying it's BioX.
BioX, thank you.
You're welcome.
Like, when will that truck be up and running and ready to go?
Presently, we're in training,
Oh, okay.
and so everybody has to have, I forget the exact amount of hours. I think it's 12 hours of training for every single RF person we have on the airport. Rosenbauer came out, ironically, a couple days after the snowstorm, so they were training then. And they hopefully are coming out again next week to do another round of training. So if all goes well, the training should be complete no later than the end of April. The goal is to make sure that the vehicle is up and running by the summer season.
Gotcha.
Do we have a target date, a specific date? that you
I'll
could
know
give us?
more once we have the
Okay.
training
You can let us
scheduled
know so that,
and done. Yeah,
That's
sooner
so,
the better.
That's a PR point right there.
Yeah, totally,
Yeah.
totally, absolutely.
and that's why we want to, because right now, this is why I kind of get deliberate when people are saying, you know, we should put that on social media and everything. It got delivered, and then a couple of things weren't delivered with it. And then on top of it, when the representative came out, they were driving it around. We're only allowed to drive it when the representative from Rosenbauer is here, and until we're fully trained on it. And now we have a hydraulic issue with it. So in one of the turrets, I want to make sure the thing
Right.
is running and our firefighters can be adept at showing it off and
Yeah.
making sure that
Right.
we've gotten all the kinks out of the new model, before
Right, we
posting
don't-
it up there.
We don't wanna rush it for the sake of rushing it, we wanna make
Right.
sure that everything is.
I want to rush it for the beginning of the summer season.
But we want it done.
Yeah, because that's gonna be the primary vehicle. If something, God forbid, happens on the field, that's the vehicle that's gonna lead the pack, so.
Okay.
I have another question with regard to that, if you don't mind. Would it be beneficial that we have somebody from the Hyannis Fire Department also trained on that vehicle?
Hyannis Fire, yes, that would be great to cross-train. I'd have to talk to Chief Burke about that. And it relates a little to the hangar fire we had, is the Hyannis Fire Department, if we have to go on a mutual response to them, we're gonna follow their lead. They're gonna have the command center, and it's a structural fire, and they're the experts on structural fire. Even when they came here, the command center was set up by Hyannis Fire Department, even though it was on airport property, because that was a structural fire. Now, if there was an aircraft fire, whether it was on the airport or God forbid off the airport, we would be the command center because our firefighters are trained in aircraft firefighting. And the Hyannis Fire Department is not, to my understanding. So that's where the difference is, so it's a whole different curriculum for them.
They also have to be certified to drive AOA,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
So it's not just driving a truck, it's that you have to
Yes,
be
so
certified
that's
to
one
drive
of
at the
the
airport.
dilemmas when it was a different, interesting dynamic when I first started working in Hyannis Tower and we had our first emergency and they closed the airport. What are you closing the airport for?
Yeah.
And it was explained to me in different ways, but now I've come to the understanding because when we have mutual aid responses, not everybody's qualified to drive on the field. So to be safe, we make sure that it's closed until we have it contained, because in my experience, most of it was at Logan Airport. We have an emergency on a runway, or one coming in, we plan to hopefully have that so that it has least impact to the other runways that we're using at the time. I don't know how many emergencies I was in on Logan where somebody would land, say 15 right, short of 4 right, and we're still operating 4 right, 4 left, 9. No, not even thinking about it. But everybody is certified to be on the field at Logan, where this is a whole different ballgame.
Good point. Okay. Okay, Benjamin Nelson, does that conclude your remarks? You all
Yes,
set?
sir.
Okay.
If I could just
Yes.
make a couple of comments. One, on the snow removal, and this is more for the public and more because I've become a favorite of a couple of people who have contacted me about it. You know, this was a 20-plus year event. You know, it is difficult for us to staff and equip for a 20-plus year event. And I think the work that got done, especially with the things that you had going on, was, you know, remarkable. And it was an event that everybody within 40 miles of here had the same issues that we had. But it does cause us to think, as we're looking at snow removal on a planning basis going forward, do we have the right staffing and enough? I know you're short, you know, and maybe we need to think about having more. Again, it's Sean's fault because he brought
He's not here
the
to
snow.
defend himself.
Because we haven't had snow for a long time, so we can blame him. Same thing, I have my prized fixed asset list that you got me. We have a lot of old equipment. You know, we need to be thinking about that too, so that we not only have to have the staffing, but have to have equipment that doesn't break down or is more reliable. So I bring that up, and I think that we want to attract you know, a year-round air carrier, and we're going to need to be able to perform in order to ensure that they're happy. So I bring that up as an issue. And then all the issues you faced in the last year that were placed on your desk. You know, I want to speak as one commissioner, and there was something that I learned when my first job as an internal auditor was the word assume. And when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. And I, as a commissioner, and I won't speak for others, assumed a lot. We assumed a lot when we get a contract that came from our attorneys that stuff was included in there. I'm not a lawyer, I wouldn't be able to figure that out. So you're getting a lot more unfortunately, a lot more questions from us. You know, because there's a whole bunch of things that we're more up to speed on, and you know, it's not one person or one group, it's everybody is wiser as a result of change that has happened over the last year. So just wanted to bring that up.
Thank you, Commissioner Wall. Any other comments from any commissioners? Member?
This may be totally off track, but when is the grill opening again? The little restaurant?
We had a talk with the proprietor last week, and she's gonna come in May to make sure all the kinks are settled, in probably the first or second week of June. And air service for American's going to start August 18th, if I remember right, so that way she's prepared for that, and JetBlue the 26th.
Cool.
And if I may, to Norm's point, or points he brought up, not sure if he's listening or seeing my notes. I'm actually, so now I take away my thunder for next month. I was going to propose an additional staffing for maintenance, one additional person there, and also in ARF, and not on the agenda, but also some cross-training, things like that, but that's also with the
Well, you bring that
union.
up, and that'll be vetted at the negotiation meeting for recommendations at the full
Yes,
commission.
and that's
That's
all-
a normal process. And I would also
Process.
agree with the age of our equipment. I think we have depreciated it as much as we possibly can.
Well, that's why I think I'm bugged,
We
'cause
depreciated the repairs.
I don't think there's any depreciation left.
we're actually talking about, we have another blower that's been on commission for a while, and the part's now on order. And so we'll hopefully have two blowers, but we do need a couple more pieces of equipment going into the next season to make sure.
Well, I know also in the past, we've actually had equipment where the pieces, the parts were no longer available.
Yes.
So it speaks to some of the stuff that we have.
Well, a lot of challenges.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, there are no anticipated matters anticipated by the chair, and so I will call for a motion to make an adjournment and announce that our next meeting is April 21st, 2026. Same place, same time, same room, so motion for adjournment, please.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, that is a vote. Thank you all to our audience watching, to all of us around these tables, and Manager Nelson, thank you for another job well done.
Thank you, sir, you're welcome.